there is important news about Italian Centauro vehicles in Ukraine. After several months of silence, news about their role has come directly from the Ukrainians through wartime operations aboard what is considered one of the best Italian vehicles, which later evolved into the Centauro 2. In today's episode, we try to take stock of the situation on the ground and understand what Italy could learn from this tragedy, from this war, to better protect its crews in the future. So let's start with the news itself. Ukrainian social media channels have released an interview with the crew of one of the vehicles that, as you can see from the images, has been modified for modern warfare and to better withstand drones. In the video, both the vehicle in motion and some statements from the crew are shown, describing the operational features of the Italian vehicle. These are redundant details for those who have been following the vehicle for years, but the soldiers mainly talk about the mobility of the Centauro, describing it as fast on the move and suitable for different types of environments, including urban ones. According to what they said, the vehicle can exceed 100 km/h and maintains good mobility even on unpaved terrain, which we can see in the footage. The crew explains that the B1 Centauro is equipped with an automatic inflation system for all the tires, and they mention the fact that since it is a wheeled vehicle, it cannot rotate in place like tracked vehicles do, but instead has to steer quite nimbly, according to the crew. You can also see it operating in reverse maneuvers, Moving on to the main armament, the B1 Centauro used by the Ukrainian forces is equipped with the classic 105mm cannon. According to statements, the vehicle can carry up to 40 rounds of different types, such as armor-piercing, fragmentation, and shape-charged shells. The loading of the ammunition is done manually, since the Centauro does not have an automatic loader. The soldiers explain how the onboard optics work. The system allows both the gunner and the commander to observe the target and also engage independently. The vehicle can operate both at night and in difficult weather conditions. One of the crew members, also identified by the codename Kilia, stated that he fired a shot from about 11 kilometers away. This is news that has been picked up by practically all the sources that covered this story. According to the account, the vehicle hit a building occupied by Russian forces using cover, a concealed position. Keep this in mind because we'll need it shortly. In the context of the Russia-Ukraine war, this type of use has become increasingly frequent, and armored vehicles are often used for indirect fire support, reducing direct exposure to FPV drones, loitering munitions, and other attack systems present along the front. One of the aspects appreciated by Ukrainian soldiers concerns the internal communication system and overall comfort on board, for lack of a better term, especially when compared to Soviet-era vehicles. The vehicle commander compared the Centauro with the Soviet T-72 and T-64 tanks used previously. According to the soldier, inside the Italian vehicle, communications are clearer and easier to understand. The crew attributes this difference also to the lower noise level of the Centauro's engine. The soldiers also describe the fire suppression system installed inside the vehicle. If necessary, there are 2 cylinders on board dedicated to automatic fire suppression. A very interesting aspect of the interview concerns what one of the soldiers says. Traditional direct combat between tanks has become increasingly uncommon. The massive presence of drones actually forces vehicles to avoid prolonged exposure near the front line, especially for vehicles that do not have active defense systems, which in any case are still showing some limitations. Just look at what is happening to the IDF troops in Lebanon. The report explains that getting into a direct engagement means crossing areas controlled by FPV drones and loitering munitions. For this reason, vehicles are often used from rear and covered positions. The crew also openly talks about the vehicle's limitations, referring to its protection. According to the statements, the front part would be able to withstand 30mm rounds, while the side could be penetrated by 12.7mm caliber weapons. For drone defense, they used the standard kind of cover with anti-drone nets. In this specific case, a solution that closely resembles, excuse the simplification, a car convertible top. Well, to sum up, we can say that the Centauro in Ukraine is doing what it was designed for. A vehicle that ideally is not meant to engage in combat against heavy vehicles, but to quickly get where it's needed, fire and reposition. But there are 2 important aspects that we need to take away. Reed, in one of his articles, gives me a useful springboard for a point I want to make. The Ukrainians are using this vehicle to fire from covered positions, even at structures. Reed is particularly useful to me because he confirms one of my hypotheses. Talking about the Volcano 120 ammunition that Leonardo is developing, and that could turn vehicles like the Centauro 2 or even the Ariete into, if you'll allow me the term, artillery vehicles. Thanks to the ability to fire indirectly, which is made possible by the Volcano 120 projectile, a round you probably already know for larger calibers. The second point is that once again we have to remember how drone defense will have to be a cornerstone of future vehicles to ensure survival on the battlefield. Although today's war is not tomorrow's war, and it's very likely that many tasks will be taken over by ground drones, UGVs. But at least until we have solutions other than the infantrymen holding the line, we will always need active defense, at least for transport and logistics vehicles. Taking into account that FPV drones will expand and are already expanding their capabilities in terms of range and the distances they can cover. The lessons learned by the Ukrainians and that they are telling us about should perhaps give more impetus and support to this kind of solutions. They allow you to fire from covered positions and reposition quickly, making a vehicle capable of covering more aspects on the battlefield or in crisis areas. This is regarding the Volcano munitions. As for drone protection, it's a topic you know very well. If you want, we've talked about Volcano munitions in a dedicated video. I'll leave it for you among today's sources. So starting from the assumption that the Italian Ministry of Defense doesn't need a civilian to come and explain these things, consider this video as a summary of what we see on the modern battlefield in Ukraine. And what we can learn from this tragedy, let me emphasize that, is to look at the future of our equipment and their survival. Let me know what you think. As always, sources for further information are in the first highlighted comment. Leave a like, share your thoughts, and share this video with others. See you soon here and happy June 2nd. Bye.